Hello everyone and welcome. It's Chef Jason Morris, your Ace Hardware grill expert, and we're back for yet another one of our Red Vest approved videos. But I'll tell you what, the email read, "Hey chef, would you film a video about cooking lobster on the grill?" And I thought to myself, does anyone ever respond back to that email saying no, right? They'd have to be crazy. But I'll tell you what, I'm excited about this one because this is something I love. I love lobster. I love lobster on the grill. I really appreciate the difference between cold water and warm water lobster. And we thought, let's be helpful and really get your lobster skills developed, right? It's gonna be an awesome grill season, and grilling lobster to go along with your steak gives you that beautiful surf and turf experience. Well, I'll tell you what, while we're hanging out at our local Ace and you're hanging out at your local Ace and you're thinking, how can I find out when these Red Vest approved videos are ready? Go to our YouTube channel, make sure you click the subscribe button, type in your email address, and we will send you an email and notify you when these Red Vest approved videos are going live. We've got a lot of great content for you this year, and as always, you can download these recipes and more at acehardware.com. Go to acehardware.com, click on the tips and advice tab, and up in the search bar, you can enter in recipes. Simple as that, type in recipes, it'll bring up all of our recipes and more. We've got lobster, we've got ribs, we've got steaks. We have a lot of cool stuff for you, and we're very excited, like I said, because it's spring. Spring has finally sprung somewhere, I think, right? We're done with snow, we're done with rain. It's time to kick this grilling season off. So thank you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and cooking. Let's get rocking this Red Vest approved video because, why? Because you're my lobster, and it's all about lobster today. It's time, once again, you know it, it's food flyover time. Like we always do, we like to give you a little flyover view of all the ingredients and fun stuff we're cooking with today. But look at this. I want to spend a little bit of time just talking about lobster tails quick. Look what we have here. We have a North Atlantic lobster tail. That's a product of Canada, right? Cold water. That is delicious. But wait a second. We also have a warm water lobster tail, and this is what? A product of the Bahamas. Well, hey, let's take a look and look at the difference. Right here you can see our American lobster. That's that cold water lobster tail. They've got a grabbing pincher, they've got a crushing claw, and they've got a really nice, firm, dense, very sweet meat. And then we move over to the spiny lobster, which is also known as a warm water lobster tail. And look at that, we've got a little bit of difference, right? There's no claws out front. They're missing those claws. They have antenna. Well, what's the difference between these two lobster tails, and why is it important to notice that when you're buying it? Well, in my opinion, right, my humble cooking opinion, this guy tends to be a little more gamey, a little more fishy tasting. The flesh isn't quite as firm. You get into the American lobster, and boy, I'll tell you what, you've got edible claws, you've got edible tail. That is a delicious eating lobster. A little more firm and a little more sweet. But I'll tell you what, you can't go wrong with either of these. It really comes back to your taste preference. I prefer American. I like that cold water tail. But here's what we look for when the time came. Right? Frozen lobster tails, we read the package, we wanted to see, product of Bahamas, we knew it was warm water. We moved into the North Atlantic lobster tail, we knew it was a cold water. But what do we have above and beyond that? Well, guess what? We've got our recipe, You're My Lobster, and we're gonna talk about all the fun things cooking lobsters. How to put them on a skewer, how to grill them hot and fast on the grill, but also how to cast iron cook them. Here we've got our two different tails, and you can see the difference in color. That's our warm tail, that's our cold water tail. A little bit of difference in color. We're gonna use a couple of our rubs, rub-a-dub or oink, to give it a little fun flavor. Look at that, we're gonna use a little bit of butter. We won't use all of that, but we'll come close, right? And then we've got a little bit of barbecue sauce if we wanna add a barbecue flair, and a couple different kinds of skewers. We've got one of our Weber skewers and one of our Grill Mark skewers. Great thing about those guys, they do a nice job keeping that lobster firm, keeping it intact, and letting us grill it and have a blast. So that's our food flyover, you guys. We'll see you next up here when it comes time to prep lobster tails, and then we'll be out on the grill getting ready to rock and roll. Well, as you can see, both of these tails are still frozen, but I'll tell you what, when it comes to cutting this lobster tail, it's actually easier to do it a little bit frozen. Let me show you how. What I do first is put my knife in the back of the tail, and very carefully, I rock the knife forward, and look at that. I have this tail cut in half. So I'll tell you what, buy your tails frozen. This is my chef's tip for you. Buy your tails frozen, get them cut, let them defrost overnight. That meat will pull out beautifully, and then we can skewer it. So we're gonna let these guys defrost, and we'll be right back, and we'll get ready to get these skewered, get them seasoned up, and get them ready for the grill. Well, as you can see here, we took a couple out of the shell, right? These are our warm water tails and these are our cold water tails. And guess what's stopping you from grilling them in the shell? Nothing. If you want to grill your lobster tails while they're still in the shell, leave them just like this. We cut these guys in half, gave them a nice rinse. You can easily season this up and go on the grill just like that. Me, I'm an instant gratification kind of guy. I like to skewer them and get right into the meat, not have to worry about too much tail. So here's what we do now. Now we'll start on the small end of the tail and we'll gently slide that skewer through, and look at that, we've got a nice lobster tail skewer. Want to do it on the cold water tail as well? We'll go from the big end on this guy all the way through the small end, and look at that. That's basically what we're going for. We're gonna go ahead on the grill and melt a little bit of butter. We may brush these with a little bit of butter, and then if you want, you can add the seasoning of choice. And we would use a little bit of rub-a-dub. Let's say we wanna season these guys ahead of time. That's really a taste preference. You can do it seasoned ahead of time. You can season them after. You can add a little bit of garlic and lemon juice to your butter for a nice dipping sauce or a nice finishing butter, or lobster butter they call it. But this is it right here. This is our warm water tail. You can tell a little bit of difference in the color. And this is our cold water tail. Once we cut them, we give them a rinse, we skewer them up. Next up, we'll see you on the grill. We're gonna melt some butter and we're gonna get grilling these lobster tails. Well, we're out at the Weber Genesis 2 today. One of the questions I get is, why do I need a 3-burner? Why do I need a 4-burner? Well, I'll tell you what, I love the 4-burner, and you're gonna see here in a minute as we get this opened up. Look at this. Look at all the real estate I have on this grill. I've got room here to cook lobster, steak, my surf and turf. I've got a little flat top griddle area I have room for, and also a spot to melt my butter. So here we are, just slowly melting this butter. The key on this butter is to melt it very, very slow. We don't want to do it over high heat where it separates. We want to melt it so that the milk solids down there and the fat all stay together. This makes a really good dipping butter, or a lobster butter that we can dip our tails into. So when we come back here, we'll get these guys on the grill and we'll start grilling. Here we go, we're making that climb to 500. And if you know anything about me, you know when it comes to gas grilling, any grilling really, I'm all about hot and fast. I like to grill things nice and hot, lock in those juices, keep it as juicy and wonderful as we can. So we've got our butter melting, right, just like we want. Let's go ahead and add these lobster tails to the grill. We've got our warm water, we've got our cold water, we've got them all skewered, and then we'll get them added on there. And then, like I told you, we'll leave a couple in the shell just to show you what that looks like. So that's the start of lobster grilling. We've got our butter going here. We're actually gonna turn that down just a little bit. But the beauty, again, of this 4-burner, look at that. I can do my entire meal on the 4-burner grill. That's what I love about having a 4-burner. So we're gonna get this closed. We're gonna give these guys about 2 to 3 minutes on this first side, and then we're gonna flip them. We haven't added any seasoning yet or any butter. We're actually gonna save that and do that at the very end. So let's get this closed and get those guys moving. 2 minutes are up. Let's give them a flip. Look at that. We're starting to get some beautiful grill color on these guys. And the nice thing, like I said, we're gonna do this hot and fast and keep these bad boys really juicy and tender. That's what we want to save. This lobster is sweet and wonderful and juicy. We want to keep that. Grilling hot and fast does that for us. We're going to close the lid, finish them up. Well, how do we know if these are done? Look in here. See how it's still a little translucent? We know if it's translucent, it still needs a little bit more time. That lobster meat should come out beautiful, bright white, with a little hint of red if it's a cold water tail, and a little hint of orangish if it's a warm water tail. As you can see, those are a little translucent. We've still got a few minutes left to go. So we'll actually flip that on that side, and we'll let the cooking continue. That's exactly what we're looking for. Look at that. Look at the beautiful color on those lobster tails. They're nice and white now. You can tell everything is fully cooked. We're gonna go ahead and grab these guys off. We'll see you back at our serving table, where we're gonna talk about how to finish these guys up. We took the butter off. The butter's waiting for us. We're gonna grab these tails and go as well. We'll see you back at the serving table. Well, all right, here we are. We're back, and this is our final lobster. And look at this. These are our cold water tails that we left in the shell, grilled those up nice. Look at the beautiful color on there, right? This is our warm water tails, and we obviously went with a bigger tail, right? This was probably a 9.5 ounce tail. This is our cold water tail that was about 5. So you can see the difference in size we got. You can see the difference in the shrink as well. Well, what do we want to do to finish these guys? Well, we've got our lobster butter here, and what I'll do quick, give them a nice little baste of butter, like that, and then guess what? We can give them a good seasoning right on top. I like to finish my tails right at the end. I like this salt, I like the rub, I like the butter and everything to kind of lay on there as a finish. But that's it right there. I mean, that's a beautiful job on our lobster tails. We skewered them, we grilled them hot and fast. Total cooking time for us was about 11 to 12 minutes to get these tails from refrigerator to our plate. Well, there you have it. Another Red Vest approved video is done. This time was all about the lobster, and I'll tell you what, there is nothing better than a little lobster skewer to add a little bit of surf to your turf, right? What a great recipe. And where can you find this recipe? You can go to acehardware.com, go to tips and advice. Up in the search bar, you can type in recipes. You'll find this recipe, oh yeah, and a whole lot more. Because we're helpful, we have a ton of content coming for you this year. Well, and how are you notified when our next Red Vest approved YouTube video is ready? Spread the word. Tell your friends. Go to our Ace Hardware YouTube channel and subscribe. You'll get this recipe and more, and you'll be notified every time we go live. So once again, I'm Chef Jason Morse, owner of 5280 Culinary, and your Ace Hardware grill expert. Thank you so much for cooking with us. Have a wonderful summer.